heard a bit of it in the intro, but it's out now on Inspired by Trees Records. Go check it out. Your support is always appreciated. The best way to support is definitely Bandcamp or Spotify if you want to stream, but there are other options available. The link is in the description. So today we're going to take a close look at how this lead arp came about and how I made it. So first of all, a lot of times I start with the drums and then build, the melodic hook or riff or lead to the groove, because I like to a lot of times have something to kind of jam around to. But in some cases, I like to start just with a vibe and create, and start with the melody, the lead, whatever. And this track is definitely one of those cases. So let's just look at the sound design really quick, and we'll just, walk through how I made this. So I used Native Instruments Monarch, surprise, surprise, for this. And the sound design is really simple. First, I'm just going to mute some of these, and then we'll go through the plugins here in a second. So here's what the basic sound sounds like. I'll just turn that off as well. So really simple sound here. All it is one oscillator, one saw wave with a little bit of noise mixed in as well, and a short plucky envelope shape on the amplitude, and a very similar short plucky shape with the filter envelope as well, and a little bit of resonance. That's it. And then I wanted to make an arp out of this, so I used the stock arpeggiator, and I used an upward motion, and I used a 16th note timing with a range of 2, so it's just operating in 2 octaves, jumping back and forth. But here's what it sounds like with the arpeggiator on. Okay, so then I have my basic sound there. Then I added some processing to make it come alive, feel more interesting, and playable. So let's look at the insert plugins first. Let's turn these on. We'll just go through these one by one. So the first thing I did was add this delay, which is kind of the most important plugin for this sound. Let's hear it with the delay. Okay, so the delay is just a basic ping pong, 8th dotted timing here with a little bit of saturation, using this replica plugin from Native Instruments. I love this plugin. But the mix is at 100%. I played around with having a mixture of the wet and a dry, but I just like the way it sounded with the mix 100%, so I left it. And then I just added a basic low cut EQ here, and we'll get to that in a second. And then this filter is literally just for the drive, just to add a little bit of body and like some harmonic distortion there. But I just like the way that sounded, so I'm not filtering with this. I'm just using it for the drive, and then some sidechain as well. Pretty basic. In fact, really basic. And then this little guy here is just a basic LFO that's only being turned on every once in a while. And that is controlling the fine tuning of the synth itself. Just to get, again, to add a little bit of randomness and just fluctuation with the pitch every now and again. And what I did to kind of make it random was I set up this an automation clip and only turned it on occasionally. So this is the automation clip for this here. And you can see it pops in here for 1 bar, and then it pops here, pops in here the other direction, but only for a half of a bar. and the loop length is 9 bars. So it's kind of an odd loop length. So it's hard to, it pops in every once in a while, looping over this weird loop length. So it's just a really subtle way to add a little bit of, fluctuation with the pitch here and there. I like to do little things like that to add just for my own. You probably can't even notice it, but I just do things like that just to add a little bit of kind of an analog feel to the sound. Whether or not it makes any difference, I don't know. But I did it anyways. So that's what that is. And then to really put this in a space and make it feel, big and lush, it needed some reverb. So that's what this send here is for. So let's hear it with the reverb. Without. Okay, so on the reverb send, I'm using the space modulator from Valhalla. Again, I'm sure you've seen me use this multiple times if you've watched any of my videos, but I'm using the lush verb preset here, which I like, and then I'm modulating the rate with an LFO, which again is just adding a little bit of fluctuation and kind of randomness there, and then just an EQ to clean up that reverb send. And I'm also modulating the high cut here a little bit with an LFO to add some movement there. Okay, and then because the lead, because I have the delay set to 100%, and I was checking it in mono, and I thought, it's a little bit too wide, and I'm losing a little bit of it when I'm summing it to mono or listening back in mono. So to combat that, what I did was I set up this auxiliary track here, and I just used this little BX Solo plugin from Brainworks. I soloed the mids and then heavily compressed it. So I'm just getting this heavily compressed mono signal, and then I just mixed that in with everything else, just so I have enough kind of information in the center where when I sum it to mono, I'm not losing too much. So that's why I did this, and we can just solo that so you can hear what that track sounds like on its own. Because I'm compressing it so hard, it's pretty, a little bit distorted and fuzzy, but it was enough mono information mixed in where I felt like, okay, that's, just kind of helping it, do its thing. If the track was played back in mono, I'm not going to lose too much. So that's why I did that. And then just a basic chorus send here to add, some width and some modulation. And here's what the chorus send sounds like it's soloed. To use this little brigade chorus, which is one of my favorite choruses, and then just a basic low cut as well on that. So that's all of the processing involved with the sound. Once I got to this point, then I just sat down and I just really jammed around on my keyboard until I found a really interesting progression that I liked. And I actually caught that moment on camera. I was jamming around, I was recording, and when I actually came up with this riff, and I'll play that in the outro. But once I had this little riff dialed in and I played it God knows how many times, I recorded it and then just did a little bit of cleaning up in the piano roll and just nudged a few things around and cleaned up some timing here and there. I also, made a few subtle little variations, as you can see, and just added some little like accent hits in there, every once in a while, just for a little bit of, randomness and imperfection. There's some like notes that are little hits that are like off the grid. And yeah, I just did that. And then I laid out this long little section here. And then I recorded some automation in by hand. So you can see I'm recording the cutoff, the filter decay, and the resonance. I just played around with the synth, and I felt like those were the three parameters that really made the sound sing in the way I wanted it to. So I just then built a simple little groove here to jam to, and just had fun with it. Recorded all these three different parameters by hand. You could just have a listen here for a second. You could see those just moving around. So there you go. And I wasn't worried about being perfect. I was just having fun with it. And so I did this big long jam, recorded these parameters, you know, by hand, and then I bounced this whole long jam section to audio. So I just recorded everything through the synth, which everything is being routed through this synth bus, recorded everything to audio, you know, even all the sends and everything ends up here. So I recorded it. And then what I did was I thought, you know what, it might be interesting to have a slower version as well. I could maybe use that in the arrangement perhaps. So what I did is I just did a separate recording, but all I did was change the timing here. Instead of a 16th note timing, I pushed it up to 2, which is an 8th note, and I recorded this whole jam session again, just at a slower ARP speed. And that actually came in, I actually ended up using it in the arrangement. I used it in the breakdown and actually layered the two different versions together and kind of filtered them in opposite directions and created a nice transition into the breakdown. And it actually worked out really well. So it's good to think about these types of things. Think about, you know, how can I maybe do a different version of this that might be handy when I'm working on it in audio and the arrangement. It's good to think ahead of how you might want to use it and give yourself some options down the line. So I'm glad that I did that because I ended up using it and it worked out better than I could have hoped for. So that is Ascension. And then, you know, I had these two long ARP jams sitting on my hard drive for a little while, and then I built, you know, a track around it a couple months later. But that's how this song came about. It all stemmed from this lead ARP. I just was really into this little progression. I had fun with it, and then it turned out to be what it is, and it's out now on Inspired by Trees Records. Great little imprint from Switzerland. They're a pleasure to work with, and I hope you like the track. Again, the link is in the description. Check it out, and I hope you found this video of some value, interesting, and hopefully you learned a tip or two. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.